Minions of the KFC gods, welcome to the showdown between the Warriors of Chaos, who shall be led by Lumberjocks, and the Dark Elves, who are going to be helmed by Crying Noob. So on that note, guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So for the Warriors of Chaos, here in Vanguard, they do have three groups of the Horsemasters. So I think it's going to be all Horsemasters. So 1, 2, and a 3. So Horsemaster is pretty good against the Dark Elves because they're pretty quick. So with 90 speed, they are going to be able to effectively chase Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. But more importantly, Dark Riders with repeater crossbows cannot shoot 360. So if you're chasing them, you're pursuing them, you're putting pressure on them, they're not really going to be generating a ton of value for you. So these guys are the perfect choice. They're able to chase them down. They have their javelins, which do a ton of damage against lightly armored targets. 37 missile damage is going to do quite a bit against 30 armor in the Dark Riders. So it's a pretty nice counter, and honestly, if you do have Sartorial, for example, I'm not sure if he brought the Plague of Rust, but he did bring Plague of Rust. So even if there's like a big armored target, right, you have some Hargoneth Executioners, or for example, this Manticore here has 45, so I guess that's not a lot, but Cold Knights, for example. Cold Dread Knights, yes, 120 armor. So if you overcast Plague of Rust, it's going to be negative 60 armor, which is going to make these guys do a ton of damage, because yes, their AP isn't the best, but if you team it up with Lord Metal, these guys can do a ton of work. So I really like this synergy so far here from Lumberjocks. In the front line, it's going to be pretty chaffy. It's going to be Marauders. I think the only elite troop he has is going to be the Mirror Guard, who are a pretty good anchor. They're immune to psychology, but really this Chaos army is going to get smashed in the front line by the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves, you have Hargoneth Executioners, Blades of the Blood Queen, as well as another group of Hargoneth Executioners. So typically, Dark Elves in this matchup go with Bleak Swords and Dread Spears, and they try and win with their other elements, like Slanesh's Harvesters and troops like that. But in this case, you can see that, I believe this is actually Lotus Moon. I can't remember if he said that's who he was playing, but coming in with a very elite build like this, it can certainly catch people off guard. So the Chaos Warriors here in the front line are going to be a little bit outmatched, but they do have some support. You can see here there's two groups of Chaos Knights with Lances, and these guys have a fat erect charge bonus of 80. Pretty good combat stats to boot, 42, 34, weapon strength of 46. So if they get a charge even against armor targets, if it's like one of those square juicy charges, or for example, if those Executioners are just facing some Marauders and they get rear charged by the Lances, it's going to be a ton of damage. These guys can do some work. I really like Chaos Knights. They're one of my favorite units from back in the day, for sure. He does also have Sartorial, the Ever Chicken, Plague of Rust, and Final Transmutation for some of that sweet DPS, and he does also have a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, which will help in the front line. The Shaggoth does have decent AP, and yes, quote unquote, it is an anti-large unit, but it also has pretty good prowess against like armored infantry and things like that. It causes terror, certainly not bad. Last but not least, the Chaos player does have a couple Hounds, and it looks like that's going to be it. So for the forces of the Dark Elves, he does have Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, and I honestly like them quite a bit against Chaos. Granted, you do have to have some tools to protect them. And right here, it's going to be pretty tough to protect these guys. I mean, I guess they could run for quite some time. 92 speed, but the Hounds do have 95, and the Horsemasters, like I said, do have 90. So it's going to be a little bit of a pickle to get away there, but he does have two groups of them, which can do very good against Shaggoths and big targets. He does also have the CRONE Hellebron, so something you don't see terribly often, but CRONE Hellebron has some really powerful buffs. She's a great duelist, 68, 38, 470, 487 actually, with a bonus for his infantry. Look, there's just all these like spears in that thing's head. That's pretty funny looking. But anyway, she does have the Gaze of Cain, I believe is what it's called. So it gives 8 leadership, weapon damage, melee attack, and with Hargoneth Executioners, those guys just become murder machines. It does a ton of damage. So I think that CRONE Hellebron can be pretty good, but she is relatively squishy. Does only have 45 armor, very vulnerable against missile attacks, and of course, if she ends up fighting a character like Kolek or a Shaggoth, it's going to be a little bit scary. For the rest of the Dark Elf forces, we have Slanesh's Harvesters. We do also have Cold Dread Knights on the far side. Front line's going to be all Hargoneth, just straight up from Hargoneth with love here. And it looks like, yeah, Blades of the Blood Queen, Sisters of Singing Doom for some of that sweet terror. And he does also have a Supreme Sorceress with the Occam's Mind Razor, plus the, I think that's Enfeebling Foe. Let's go and double check. I always forget those symbols are. Yes, it's going to be Enfeebling Foe. So guys, let's get the show on the road and see how it goes. So right now, the Dark Elves are going to be pursuing pretty aggressively with CRONE Hellebron, which is a bold strategy, Cotton. I think these Hounds could potentially jump on her, but I guess they probably don't want to because of these Slanesh's Harvesters nearby. And you can see the Harvesters are going to be intercepting the Hounds. Both players microing very carefully, trying not to get caught here, but you can see the Cold Dread Knights might get a nice little charge here on the Horsemasters. Definitely going to be a little bit tricky, and it looks like the CRONE Hellebron sword is now going to be proccing and hitting some of those nearby troops. So she does have a sword that's kind of like a Mortis Ascension type effect, and you can see it going off there. So the Warp Chicken's going to be jumping in. He's coming in with his drumstick right there, and he does get some of that sweet KFC slam right there on CRONE Hellebron. Ooh, and the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is going to get there as well. Very tough initial start here for the CRONE Hellebron. It looks like some of the Chaos Knights are going to be coming in as well. And on the other side, we do have a fierce cockfight. So the Chaos Knights have been slapped with the Word of Pain, which is a bound ability on the Slanesh's Harvesters. It's going to be putting their melee attack to 0. So you can see it's actually down to 0 right now. But nonetheless, they're very tanky. 120 armor is going to be very tough for Slanesh's Harvesters and some of these troops to kind of break through. And the Plague of Rust also going down here. So Plague of Rust also synergizes extremely well with Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights have a good damage output, but low AP. But with Plague of Rust, you can do so much work. So suddenly, this Cold Dread Knights are just getting pound town right here. Slanesh's Harvesters have done some okay damage, but sitting in sustained combat here certainly isn't going to be a winning situation for them. So far, I think Chaos has kind of taken the reins here in the early game. You can see the Chaos Knights have taken some damage themselves, but whatever victories they got were certainly very cost effective. In the back, the Marauder Horsemasters are going to be chasing down the Coldland Dread Knights, also putting pressure on the Repeater Crossbows. I certainly think it'd be worth it to keep chasing these guys, but the Repeater Crossbows might be turning around to shoot. Let's see, it looks like they're in a little bit of a Mighty Ducks formation here, and it looks like the Marauder Horsemasters are actually going to be taking a fight versus Slanesh's Harvesters. Bit of a bold strategy, Cotton, but it may pay off if the Warp Chicken's able to get over there and help. In the meantime, on the ground, you can see that the Hargoneth Executioners, of course, doing some decent damage against Chaos Knights, but you can outmaneuver them relatively easily. These Chaos Knights are just going to be pushing into the back, but look at this. The Dark Elves are able to actually rampage the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, so we didn't see this. Beautiful stuff right here. He rampages the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, and CRONE Hellebron comes in with a Steel Chair, Witch's Brew pops, melee attack, weapon damage 50%. She is an absolute beast when that is popped. Oh no, and another rampage. The Chaos Knights actually get rampaged as well, and terrified, so great catches from the Dark Elves here. So initially, the Dark Elves took a couple, pretty tough blows right there. But nonetheless, they were able to retaliate very well. They were able to get rid of the Dragon Ogre Shaggy, which is a huge pick. And over here you can see the Chaos Infantry did get a little bit of, not Chaos, but Dark Elf Infantry did get a little bit separated. The Mirror Guard and all these troops, just sheer volume. The Chaos Knights with Lances were able to take those guys down. CRONE Hellebron's going to be jumping in the mainline fight. Some of the Marauders who were kind of in reserve here are going to be jumping in against Hargoneth Executioners, which is going to be an absolute massacre. Hargoneth Executioners should be able to take those guys apart. But in the back, the Warp Chicken is on a bit of a dangerous quest here. He's kind of running about, but there's some scary Witch Elves here. These bare naked ladies going to be chasing him down. Look at them, just the way they run is like so frenzied. It's almost like, you guys know in like a lot of those like horror films, like when the monsters move, they're all like contorted and like spastic in their movements. I feel like Witch Elves are kind of like that a little bit. But anyways, Warp Chicken is playing a very dangerous game back here. He's probably going to get rampaged by these Witch Elves, which is going to be a bit disastrous, especially with CRONE Hellebron coming back. She hits like a truck, has 83, a wrecked melee attack right now. She is straight up pissed off. So the sisters are they going to get it? You can see that the Dark Elf player is pulling back his cav and using them to pin in the Ever Chicken, and it looks like Sartorial's pinned. Now this could be a bit of a trap. Enfeebling Foe is going to go down, which makes him take a lot more damage, obviously. And a beautiful Gaze of Cain going down, which is just going to enrage all these troops, just spike their damage output. But if Sartorial can come out of this rampage and get an Overcasted or a Final Transmutation, for example, that could be a pretty big value train, but nonetheless a little bit of a scary situation. So Chaos has kind of secured their position up here, getting a full surround on the Hargoneth Executioners. So the bounce power is relatively even. I would say slightly in the favor of the Dark Elves because of the Warp Chicken going down here. So man, he straight up got KFC'd. He got taken out, just putting that vat and just fried. Certainly not fun for him. So the Sisters of Singing Doom and the other Dark Elf forces are going to be unifying here, but it looks like Sartorial was actually able to do some damage to CRONE Hellebron, so she's very low as well, 507 HP. Marauder Horsemasters are still somewhat online, but the Dark Elves should be able to maybe chase those guys down. Repeater Crossbows now, have the freedom. They have a lot of support, so they're able to shoot in here and break those guys off. So, like I said, bounce power a little bit in the favor of the Dark Elves. Chaos is going to be kind of restructuring their forces here. They have some Hounds, they have Marauder Horsemasters here, a lot of Marauders, and they do also have 27 Chaos Knights here, and it looks like it's going to be another 17 right here. So certainly a decent amount of power, but the Dark Elves having these Sisters of Singing Doom plus 72 of the Blades of the Blood Queen, that is going to be incredibly tough to take down, but he still has a chance here. It's certainly not out of the ballpark yet. You can see the Marauder Horsemasters over here are going to be taking some fire from the Repeater Crossbows, and like I said, Repeater Crossbows cannot fire 360, so if they're running from you, they can't shoot, but if they're chasing you, they can shoot forward, so they are able to chase these guys down and put some pretty good pressure, and it looks like those Chaos Warhounds and those Marauder Horsemasters are indeed shattered and broken respectively. Now the final battle of Middle Earth is underway. The Mirror Guard are actually in really good shape, so I didn't see that. So Chaos does have some decent tools here to kind of fight here. Mirror Guard are going to be super solid against these Sisters of Singing Doom. Blades of the Blood Queen will mess them up pretty badly. But aside from that, CRONE Hellebron isn't going to be able to help too much. Maybe she comes in, gets the Gaze of Cain, like in a very safe engagement against Marauders and pulls back. But even still, she's in very, very bad shape here. And you can see some of the Repeater Crossbows are going to be shooting in against Marauder Horsemen. Just such a close game. Very well played by both of these players. Solid stuff. And over here on the far side, the Word of Pain and Enfeebling Foe is going to be going down here. But beautiful stuff here from the Chaos player. He's going to be pulling back while that debuff is active. No need to engage and just kind of wait it out. That is a really, really good play. In the meantime, Chaos gets a really nice jump over here on the Coldland Dread Knights. Solid stuff. Kind of getting away from that very bad engagement, kiting out the Blades of the Blood Queen. Why fight them? Slanesh's servants here, the Mirror Guard, are very, very fast, so they can usually run away from heavy infantry. In the meantime, the Chaos Knights are going to be running away from the Sisters of Singing Doom, trying to chase down the Dark Riders with the Repeater Crossbows, but unfortunately for them, some of them actually do get rampaged. But it looks like they might have such a hard-on for these Dark Riders that they're going to keep running. Not really sure. So the debuffs should be wearing off here in a moment. The Mirror Guard are now fully buffed, so they're going to be pulling in. Marauders are also going to be chasing after these guys. And it looks like CRONE Hellebron might be thinking about coming in. Not sure. She's kind of like, tickling the idea, but I don't think she's going to be going in there. And some of the Chaos Knights with Lances actually get terrified by these Sisters of Singing Doom. It's so funny to imagine like these Chaos Knights here. Just these like burly warriors of chaos just being terrified by these like Witch Elves here, right? It's pretty ridiculous. But anyways, they do get terrified, but they're going to be coming back fighting the Witch Elves. And it looks like the Marauder Horsemasters are going to be chasing down the Dark Riders. Might be able to break one group but the crossfire is going to be relatively devastating. Now, the frontline fight is underway. Chaos Knights do get a nice little rear charge into the Blades of the Blood Queen, but the Blades of the Blood Queen are a very elite troop. These guys are going to be tough to crack. 100 armor. You can see their leadership right now is 99, so they're pretty much going to be fighting to the bitter end. In the meantime, the Mirror Guard are going to be taking this engagement here versus these Witch Elves. And, I mean, in a vacuum, they would win. But again, the Blades of the Blood Queen are going to be coming in, and those guys are just designed to kill elite units. They hit, like, absolute trucks. I think they have a bonus versus infantry of, like, 15 or, like, 20 plus. Let's actually go ahead and check. So, Blades of the Blood Queen, look at their face masks. They're so damn cool looking. It's actually 14, so pretty good. So, here, the Mirror Guard are going to be fighting here, putting a bit of a hurting on these Sisters of Singing Doom. They're going to be outmatched pretty heavily. I mean, the Blades of the Blood Queen coming in is going to be brutal. Plus, oh, beautiful debuff play here from the Dark Elves. The Gaze of Cain is going to be going down, plus the Enfeebling Foe. Those guys are just going to be so weak now. The Mirror Guard, you can see their stats are 17 and 25 respectively. Their leadership is 26. These guys are in serious trouble. Chaos Knights are going to be surging into the back. The other group of Chaos Knights coming in as well, and they do actually break off these Dark Riders with the Peter Crossbows. And the Mirror Guard are holding pretty valiantly here, but let me get a sip of water here. It's so damn hot. Milk was a bad choice. But anyways, Chaos Knight's going to be charging in. I don't know if the Mirror Guard are going to be able to hold. Bounce Bar is actually relatively even, kind of fluctuating back and forth from the middle to the favor of the Dark Elves. But Chaos Knights are going to be coming in to lend the aid to Slaanesh Chosen here. And these guys are going to be doing some good work on the charge. Oh, a beautiful, just heavy charge coming in. Marauders coming in the back. So the Dark Elves are now fully surrounded. We actually didn't see the Marauders coming back, so I should probably scoot out a little bit. But those Marauders coming in is going to be huge. Sisters of Singing Doom are now broken. CRONE Hellebron coming in. It's just the final battle, but CRONE Hellebron does have a Mortis Engine effect. And the Blades of the Blood Queen, their leadership is at 67 right now. So these guys are holding to the bitter end. Just such an elite, powerful unit. Chaos Knights coming in yet again. The cycle charging is just so on point here, taking about 400 HP off the Blades of the Blood Queen on that charge. But with that, you can see the Dark Elves are still kind of holding on. The Blades are just so tough to take down. And plus, you also have to remember there's a Supreme Sorceress. So she's in here, and yeah, I don't know. She's pretty powerful in her own right, I guess. 39, 30, and I think her combat stats are 285. So the Mortis Engine is going to be coming down, and it looks like the Mirror Guard may have been broken off. Yes, they're completely broken, I mean, but they did really good. They took a huge beating. Chaos Knights are going to be charging back in. Marauders are going to be charging in, and it looks like CRONE Hellebron has 400 HP, so such a close situation, and the Chaos Knights get a nice little charge here, but I don't think they're going to be able to break the Blades of the Blood Queen. They're also getting encouraged here by a nearby character, so the Sorceress is going to be helping as well. And I don't know, it's going to be tough, but look at the bounce power actually creeping back. This is such an insane game. Chaos Marauders are back online, so those guys need to get back in ASAP. Some Chaos Knights and the Mirror Guard are also back in, who are immune to psychology. CRONE Hellebron does cause terror on her Manticore, so that is something to kind of consider here in the late game. And another massive charge coming in. Marauder Horsemasters just throwing all the spaghetti at the wall here. Good to see if it can stick and take these guys out. That was a terrible analogy, I'm sorry for that. But anyways, the Blades of the Blood Queen wavering. They're almost broken. -1, -2 leadership. It is so close. God damn, and CRONE Hellebron charging in as well, but she gets a massive tear out. Witch's Brew going down, which makes her incredibly powerful. And you can see here the Chaos Marauders, as well as these Chaos Knights with Lances, are just going to break. And this is anyone's game at this point. It is so close, but it looks like Chaos doesn't have too much left. I mean, they got some Hounds in here who are nibbling on CRONE Hellebron, and she's at 371, so she's actually taking some damage. And the Sorceress only has 10 armor, so even Hounds can do a lot of damage. Mirror Guard are immune to psychology. You can see CRONE Hellebron's going to be going so low here. 9 leadership, 10 leadership. What a close fight. And the Blades of the Blood Queen do break, but look at that. CRONE Hellebron's sword is going to activate. Is it going to be doing damage? Probably not, because she's running, and the Sorceress is getting very low here. She has 970 HP. The Hounds are chewing. The Mirror Guard really need to stay in height here, but it looks like CRONE Hellebron's going to be coming back in. And oh, the Sorceress starts to waver as well, but CRONE Hellebron jumps in, and she gets that terror out, and with that, the bounce power is going to go massively in the favor of the Dark Elves, and it looks like the Warriors of Chaos are going to be turning and running this day. So what a great game by both of these players. I mean, that was a real entertaining game to watch. So I just want to sincerely thank Lumberjacks for sending in that game. It's not often you see people send in losses, so big props to him there. And it was a super good game. So yeah, as far as the build goes, I love the build. I honestly thought his build was super good against Dark Elves. I think it was well prepared against like skirmishing Dark Elf play. Had, you know, a decent front line to deal with. I mean, obviously against this elite front line, it didn't look that good. But against like standard Dark Elves with Bleak Swords and Dread Spears, I think it would have been good. And yeah, it was a great little build. I loved it. I mean, a couple things. I think if Sartorial could have stayed on the right side of the battlefield and not gotten caught over there in that rampage, I think he would have been in pretty good shape for sure. He probably had one more final transmutation to the bank, but he played a super good game, honestly. I mean, and he was obviously playing a very good opponent here in the Crying Noob, who I think he mentioned was Lotus Moon. I'm not sure, but Lotus, if you're watching, please let us know if this was you in the game, and if it is, we'll certainly link over to your channel. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this Warriors of Chaos versus Dark Elf game. What an outstanding match. Very well played to Lumberjacks and the Crying Noob, and I think that's pretty much it for now. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.